We just had that public land sale almost go through in the big beautiful bill, and what was your take on all of that?
We're going to sell 3 million acres of public land. The way the legislation was written, the government of China
I saw that too.
could have been like, oh, we'll happily take 3 million acres of America. Whatever bid you get, $1 more.
You just happen to overlook that China's buying up all our farmland, not because this is about to get voted out of office because you pissed off every outdoorsman, hunter, fisherman, skier, rancher in the country. Talking about Theodore Roosevelt, I mean, he's the one that put all the national parks in place, correct?
Yeah, well, a number of things. They weren't called national forests then, but he was designated in these like forest preserves and was instrumental in the national park program too. So like the public estate in many ways comes from Roosevelt. There's a famous story with Roosevelt where he had authority to declare these wilderness preserves, whatever nomenclature they used at the time. He had authority to do it. He was losing that authority while he was in office. There was legislation, like he was going too crazy, they felt, declaring all these, what would become our national forest system. And there's legislation arising that's going to strip him of the authority to unilaterally create national forests. Support for this legislation is so strong that he knows he can't veto it because his veto will get overridden. So he creates this another huge pile of national forests. They call it the midnight forests because his ability to make forest preserves was going to expire at midnight. So in a flurry, he like sits up with his team and they just start making national forests, and then turns around the next day and has to sign legislation saying he won't do it anymore. And those are known as the midnight forests that he created. Who was right? I mean, he was hugely controversial at the time. That's the thing people forget about. Like all politicians would want to be favorably compared to Roosevelt now. Like any politician is going to take, if someone says he's like a Theodore Roosevelt when it comes to conservation, they're going to be like, thank you. That dude was controversial at the time. And who was right? They carved him into Rushmore, right? As the preservation guy.
Yeah.
So he was right, you know, and it was not popular at the time. That's the thing people lose sight of, is like what he did at the time was, some people support it, but a lot of people hated him for it. And then now we recognize that it was a stroke. It was genius. It was genius.
Yeah. I mean, what do you know, we just had that public land sale, you know, almost go through in the big beautiful bill, and I was way late to the game on that. I saw a tweet from Jocko saying, pay attention to this guy Braxton McCoy. And do you guys know each other?
No, I know of him now for sure, but I have never personally met him. Yeah,
but great guy, amazing story too. But anyways, I saw a tweet that he had thrown out through Jocko, and I was like, hey, I'll be in touch. Brought him on. He kind of told me what was going on, and we released a preview. It got pulled that night. But I was curious. I mean, I know you were a big player in that, and you and Cameron Haynes and a couple other people I follow were, you know, screaming at the top of your lungs like, no, this isn't a good idea.
Yeah.
And so I just wound up jumping in last minute because I was like, this doesn't seem right.
Yeah,
Were they selling this land?
Glad you did. Yeah, I'm glad. And I'm glad you did and everybody else that did. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, all of the collaborations together got it pulled, and but I was just curious. You know, we were talking a little bit about this at breakfast. But I mean, what was your take on all of that?
Man, it's a thing that comes up in different. It's a thing that comes up in different forms throughout the history of the country, is this question of the legitimacy, the intelligence or whatever of having large tracts of federally managed public land that's open to everybody. Maybe it's on a 10-year cycle. But my friend and colleague Ryan Callahan is a lifelong crusader for public lands, and you know, he and I were talking recently, and he was talking about it's just like it's a 10-year cycle where in some Western states, the majority of the land is owned by the federal government. Okay. Some people look at that and they're like, what an enormous gift that half of the state, or more than half of the state, whatever, is open to any American who wants to go out on that land to ride ATVs in certain areas, ride bikes, camp with their kids, hunt, fish, live an outdoor lifestyle. You don't need to have money to own your own ranch. It's just there, right? It's there for us. And not only that, it's not developed and it's not industrialized. It's like, it's literally, it's money in the bank and it's habitat in the bank, right? It's just there. It's an American treasure. Mm-hmm. Other people look at it and they look at it and they see a huge loss in revenue because you're not able to industrialize or develop that landscape. So someone, you're a political figure in a state. What you want to do is you want to generate economic activity, and then you see that there's these landscapes that aren't easily used. Now, to be fair, on these federally managed public lands, U.S. Forest Service land, Bureau of Land Management land, they do mine it. They do alternative energy on it. They do oil extraction on it. What's the big festival in California? The Burning Man.
The Burning Man.
The Burning Man is on BLM land. So BLM land is like.
Is it really?
Yes, it's on public land.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Burning Man festival is on BLM land. The BLM makes money. The BLM makes money by permitting the Burning Man to occur on their BLM property. All kinds of shit is happening on this land. Cattle grazing, right? It's a multi-use landscape. But what doesn't happen is it doesn't get permanently developed. So in states, Utah is a hotbed of anti-public land sentiment in the political delegation there. A lot of it comes from Nevada, where they want more land. They want more land to develop. And this public land system, this federal land system, stands in their way of having more areas to develop and more areas to produce revenue from, produce opportunities for friends and developers. And therein lies the rub. There's some states where, like, I happen to live in Montana, and in Montana there is it's political suicide. It's political suicide, remains political suicide in Montana to advocate for large scale sales of public land. You can't do it. You can't do it there. In Utah, you can. And so oftentimes federal land sales where they want to peel off large acreages. There's kind of like in I think it was 2017, there was talk of 3 million acres. There was talk of 3 million acres this time, of like, we're going to sell 3 million acres of public land. That's usually coming from the Utah delegation.
Well, that's where it came from this time.
They spearhead it, and that is a hotbed. Like this, I'm not telling you like a controversial thing.
Yeah,
I'm not putting like a spin on it. The intellectual architects of large scale public land sales, the intellectual architects of that concept, come from Utah.
Okay,
this is not spinny. That's just the reality. It was the last time around when we went through this and something very similar, 3 million acres. I think it was 2017. Jason Chaffetz, House of Representatives in Utah, had legislation out there which they were calling it. They were calling like excess public lands. They were going to sell 3 million acres. And when you get into 3 million acres, you're talking big tracts of public land.
Yeah.
There's a way to move public land. Like, we have systems in place by which we can move public land. Like, if you have there could be a military base that gets decommissioned. There's a way in which that can be sold. And what these efforts usually are ways to ditch. It's usually like a way, how can we ditch the process and do this right now, large scale? And that's usually what happens. And the last time and this time were identical in the response. Is of your normal groups that the effort to push came from a faction of the American right, like came from a faction of the Republican Party, like we should move to sell public land, large tracts of public land. Of course, they know that the tree hugger community, the bleeding hearts, of course they know that they'll revolt, but it doesn't matter to them. They don't have their support anyways. But both times what has happened is that people that they view as being their people that probably normally support President Trump's agenda, people that normally are like very like are right of center, they're like, no, not that idea. I don't like it. And then both times with Chaffetz, and then this most recent thing was being pushed from Senator Mike Lee. Both times it seems they were quite surprised that their constituent base hated the idea.
They hated it, all right.
It shocked people, but I'm like, I was always feeling like it should be that shocking because this is what happened last time. And the response was the same. It was like, oh wow, all these we're just shocked that all these Republican voters hate the idea of selling off public lands. And they're focused because like, oh, it's only 3 million acres. But what people see lying there is you're kind of like, I'm afraid it's not about that. I'm afraid that at this level, we're having a discussion about the legitimacy of federally managed public lands. And so people, they tend to not be interested in the details. It's like American sportsmen, at the end of the day, American sportsmen want public lands.
Yeah.
And they're definitely intellectually capable of recognizing that it comes at some cost. But look at like if you look at like what conservative values and conservative means, it's like, it's not going anywhere. It's our federal land, right? If we were to wind up in some we're wind up in an existential crisis as a country, and we needed to utilize some of these lands for extraction or whatever, we were in an existential crisis, like a World War II scale crisis for resources, I think that you'd have a very different reception if you were talking about the need to industrialize some of our beloved landscapes in order to address an existential crisis. But outside of an existential crisis, it's there. It gets more valuable all the time. It does more for the environment, more for people. It's just a wonderful asset. When you sell it one time. And you sell it at market value, and that's it. So this is just a calculus that gets run, and I promise you in 10 years there'll be another version of it.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely.
You don't think they'll learn their lesson?
No, I think there'll be another version of it, and maybe someday public sentiment, I don't see public sentiment on it switching, because it is a thing that galvanizes a huge group of people. I got buddies that they don't hunt and fish, they like to ski, and they don't like the smell of it. They don't like public land divestitures. It's just, it galvanizes people.
Yeah, I didn't hear anybody who wasn't in politics that was for that.
Yeah.
Not anybody.
I have friends that are definitely, I have good friends and some like big hunters that are definitely, that they look and they're like, you guys are too absolutist.
Well, where does it end? We do
That's the
3
question.
million acres right now, because that was the big thing, right? It's just 3 million acres. We're only going to do it right outside of the cities.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, great. Okay. So that's 3 million acres that's going to become industrialized, going to become housing, low income housing.
And the bill, the language in the bill didn't match the rhetoric. Because when people went in and mapped out what lands meet the criteria, you could buy islands. You could buy extremely remote islands in Tongass National Forest where would follow the criteria of what could happen. Also, in the thing, it has to go to the highest bidder. In the end, even Lee acknowledged this. In the end, he said that the way the legislation was written, the government of China
I saw that too.
could have been like, oh, we'll happily take 3 million acres of America. Whatever bid you get, $1 more. In the end, they couldn't prevent this.
I feel like that was an excuse on, we overlooked this.
Yeah.
You fucking overlooked that?
It was.
You just happened to overlook that China's buying up all our farmland and
It allowed. It was a path. It was a pathway out
outside of military bases. Oh yeah, you just happened to you found that out last minute, and that's what
it was a pathway out. It was a face saving mechanism, but it was a pathway out.
Not because your ass is about to get voted out of office because you pissed off every outdoorsman, hunter, fisherman, skier, rancher in the fucking country. I'm sure that had nothing to do with it. But
it won't go away. It won't go away. And I know I know that you also, from looking at your work, like you love to look at things from a variety of angles, and it would be it wouldn't be honest to me to not say like, of course I understand the perspective. I understand the frustration of someone in a political position being like, look at all the economic activity that under my tenure, all the economic activity that could be occurring under my tenure, and that I could go in front of voters and and be like, that I had blank achievements and job creations in certain sectors if I could just develop that stuff. Like, I get it. I just don't agree.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.